Chris Mackowski of Emerging Civil War, and I'm standing above the parapets of Fort Granger. And I wanted to stand here so you can see just how deep the moat is, how high these fortifications are. We're going to walk inside the fort here in just a second. It's from this position that John Schofield watched the Battle of Franklin, which is off to my rear from where I'm standing now. Fort Granger was actually overseen by Gordon Granger, the construction of which began in early 1863. Of course, the fall of Fort Donelson opened up Middle Tennessee. And so when the Federals occupied Nashville, they had a presence in this area. Harassment by Confederates jeopardized the railroad, which ran off in that direction. And so eventually William Rosecrans in 1863 ordered the construction of this fort to protect that railroad. Garrisoned some 7,900 troops here, about 2,700 cavalry, and they operated in this area to protect that transportation line to keep Rosecrans's presence here in central Tennessee secure. In April of 1863, Earl Van Dorn and Nathan Bedford Forrest made a raid up in this direction northward from the south. The fort here fired on Van Dorn's forces as they moved forward. There was a number of other skirmishes and small actions, but by the time Rosecrans moves southward from here toward Tullahoma, the garrison here will be decreased in size as Rosecrans begins his stab toward Chattanooga, and he hopes down toward Georgia and Atlanta. So as he moves there later in 63, the force here becomes a little less intense. So in 1864, as forces head back in this direction, as George Thomas has fortified Nashville, as John Schofield is moving north to link up with Thomas, with the Confederates under John Bell Hood hot on his heels, this fort then becomes central to part of that action there at the Battle of Franklin at the end of November of 64. And as we look around here, let me give you just a second to see a beautiful trail system here with great decking that you can see behind me. And you can see just how impressive these fortifications still remain today. Originally, Granger thought that it would take a week, 10 days to do this fort. It took 10 weeks. He writes a letter to Rosecrans saying how exhausted he is, how little sleep that he's getting. He can't wait for this project to be done. Fantastic park. I got to give a shout out to the city of Franklin, which has just done a wonderful job with its park system here. Great walking trails, great exercise trails, adjacent to Park Pinkerton, or Pinkerton Park, which has a trail that leads up here. You can also come here from the road. So just a really, really cool spot to visit. Although the fighting didn't actually get up to here, of course, the Federals occupying this area wreaked havoc on the Confederates advancing. There were some Confederate artillery pieces that finally got into the action late, but really the artillery up here on these heights across the river from Franklin dominated that battle and really just raked the right flank, particularly of the Confederate advances. I'm Chris Mackowski for Emerging Civil War at Fort Granger in Franklin, Tennessee.